Okay guys, today I'm going to be talking about winter camping. So one thing that I picked up here recently is this Nemo all season tensor. I think its R rating is about 5.4 and that has helped considerably. So I'll go over the sleeping bag and stuff here in a little bit, but wintertime, gotta have it. So I want to go over my winter backpacking gear. So I set out to do this test and try different pads, and then it was supposed to be super cold, down to 0 degrees, but ended up being a lot warmer than I thought it was going to be. So I'll talk about that later, but the basic gear is here. I'm doing the gear load out here in my house because it was so blasted windy I couldn't possibly have done it out there. All you would hear is wind, and I probably would have lost something along the way. So let's go ahead and start here. Let's start with the tent. I like to have the tent easily accessible, so either on the top or on the bottom. This particular bag, the Satellite 60 from Outdoor Vitals, does not have straps on the bottom, so sometimes I carry it down there. I don't think it really matters, just whatever's comfortable for you, but this is the REI Half Dome 2 Plus. So I use this one in the winter time because it's large enough to hold all my stuff. It's a little on the heavy side. In fact, I believe it says its minimum weight is 4 pounds, 14 ounces. So pretty heavy. I mean, it'd be nice to have a lighter one. But as you'll see in the video, I also had my Plex Solo, and we'll talk about the positives and negatives that way too. So let's just go ahead and dig in, see what we got here. So once again, the pack, Outdoor Vitals Satellite 60, super nice pack. It's under 2 pounds. It has a full aluminum frame in here. So as you can see here, this goes the full length all the way down to the hip belt. So it carries really, really well. Oh yeah, and on the outside, let me grab this real quick. Anytime I'm going out, pretty much anywhere to speak of, but certainly solo in the winter time, I like to have my Garmin inReach. Phones work pretty good, but I can always almost always get a message through with this. I've always been able to when I had to, even just to say, hey, I'm in camp. Nalgene water bottles. So in the winter time, I like to have something a little more durable, and also these are kind of nice because you can put in almost boiling water and throw it in your backpack. Throw it into your sleeping bag and keep your feet warm to start out with. It's really quite nice. I started doing that on Denali when I climbed that a million years ago, back in the Pleistocene. But yeah, very, very nice. And I carry two of them, so you always have some water, because when you start melting water, you start melting snow for water, you always need a little bit of water to put in the bottom of the pan. So we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Okay, so as far as jackets go, it depends how cold it's going to be. The Four Claws is a super MT100, I think it's called. Has been an absolutely fabulous jacket for me, but it's probably only good to 20 or 30 degrees, and anything under that it starts getting chilly, and I was aiming for 0 degrees. So I decided to pick up a outdoor. I'm not sponsored by Outdoor Vitals. You'd think I was, as much of their stuff as I own, but this is I forgot the name of this jacket, as I always do. Hold on. Nova Pro. So this is the Nova Pro jacket. It has quite a bit more insulation, much more puffy, and I found this to be good down to about 0 degrees, standing around. But active wise, it will heat up pretty quickly, so you got to kind of balance that out. But fantastic jacket, and this one even has pit zips and full hood that you can tighten, cinch down, but I'll talk about these more later. I'll do a review on this jacket once I've used it a bit more. But right now, I love it. Headlamp in U25. Wintertime, you might want a little more battery power because it's dark for so doggone long. And that's really the challenge, in my opinion, for winter camping. It's just that it lasts so long. The nights do. But if you have something good to read, and I would even argue maybe put a movie on your phone, which is so counterintuitive to me. I would have never thought I'd say that, but when it's dark for that many hours, it's hard to stay asleep that long. At least for me it is, but this has worked fine for everything I've done so far. So the NU25 Nightcore, super big fan of that. I carry my food bag, and I always in the wintertime make sure I have a cozy. So I made this several years ago out of that Reflectix. And just a little bit of Gorilla Tape and a little bit of Velcro. They're super tough. They last forever. Not very heavy. I couldn't tell you. Maybe an ounce on this, a little over. And I'll weigh it and let you know. But definitely a good way to heat up dehydrated, well, freeze-dried food actually. And then my sleeping bag, and you'll see this in the video as well, as I had the Outdoor Vitals Summit 0 degree bag, which there are things I love about it and things I don't like about it. So I got an entire review on this already, and I'll link that down below. You can learn more about it. I mean, overall, it's a fantastic sleeping bag. All right, let's see here. I keep my poles on the outside, so my poles and tent stakes are on the outside. And a freestanding tent has a lot of disadvantages and a lot of advantages. So I don't have the money to buy a lightweight one yet, but hopefully that'll happen in the future. This is my poop kit, so in the wintertime, that's hit and miss. Sometimes you can use this, sometimes you can't. So either you're close to an outhouse or carry a wag bag. So electronics, I'm not going to go over everything that's in here. I've got other videos with that sort of thing. But the big things, surprisingly, I'm still using the air pump. It's the Flextail Pump Zero, which just works well, so I keep using it. It's the last thing I thought I would ever. It's kind of like having the phone to watch movies on. I would have swore I'd never do that, but I do in the winter. And then I have the Nightcore 10,000. This is the second generation 2, I guess they call it. I guess some people have had trouble with these. Man, I've had no trouble with this. It's absolutely perfect. I can't say enough about that either. So those are the main things in there. Okay. All right, I guess that takes care of that. So my fuel, I like to use white fuel in the wintertime because I just have better luck with it. So I have a fuel bottle. This size bottle, I'm not sure what this is, 11 fluid ounces? 325 milliliters anyway. Yeah, 11 ounces. That's good for a couple nights maybe at the most. It depends how much snow you have to melt. But I'd say if you're out for a couple nights, this is fine. If you're going to be out longer than that, you'll need a lot more fuel. And the stove of choice for me is a Whisper Light. I've had this Whisper Light, I mean, this is vintage. I couldn't even tell you what year this thing was made, but it works all the time. I've almost never had trouble with this. So, and it boils up water pretty quick, melts water pretty fast. Definitely like it, definitely heavy. So you have the pump, light gas pump. That's the only thing I've really ever had trouble with. The little gasket inside. Every once in a while you gotta fold it out a little bit. So it's leather and it gets dry. So you can just take it and bend this back a little bit, or sometimes you have to put a little oil on there, like coconut oil or something like that, and then it'll start pumping again. But it's easy to service. And like I said, I don't think I've had any real big problems with these out in the field. And it has a small repair kit, and that's where I keep my lighter and that sort of thing. All goes in there. Last part of the cook kit is the 1 liter. I have a 1 liter titanium pot, and this one's a Tokes brand. But I would say 1 liter is definitely the smallest you would want in the wintertime. This one's kind of borderline. It's okay just for me, but if I had anybody else there, it wouldn't be big enough to get the job done. I would definitely want a larger one, but for solo backpacking in the winter, it's good. It's big enough. So, yeah. All right, that takes care of the stuff in my bag. I'm gonna talk about my clothing here in a minute. I was gonna put all the clothing on so you could see it, but I would have melted down, so I decided to do it separately. So let me go get that stuff. All right, so I'll start with the pants that I wear, and these are Sawtooth pants from Outdoor Vitals. These are really a summer pant, but I found them to be pretty darn good if I wear long underwear underneath them. Plenty warm enough. Super comfortable. These things are very, very comfortable. And they have side vents on them too. If you start getting hot, you can unzip them on the side. So wintertime, you're probably not going to be doing that so much, but summertime, you can unzip the sides to let some hot air out. And I'm full of hot air, that's for sure. This is a merino wool Outdoor Vitals neck gaiter. Well, no, let me rephrase that. This is a buff. So buffs are unbelievably useful. I don't know if you've ever used one before, but I can tell you they can cover your neck to keep it warm. You can use it as a balaclava. You can use it just to cover your ears. I use this quite often to cover my pillow because it's nice to lay on. So tons of uses, especially in the winter time for that. This is a Farpoint. Yeah, Farpoint Alpha hat, which I personally think is ugly. Don't tell anybody I said that. But it works really well. It vents really well when you're hiking, and when you stop, you can just throw your hood up, either your outer shell hood or your down parka hood or something like that. And as soon as you keep the air from flowing through it, it's very, very warm. I usually sleep in this as well. Okay, and my other base layer, so I have polyester. These are old REI Polartec. These are older than, I don't even want to think about it. Older than my kids, I can tell you that. So it's kind of a medium weight polyester. So that's what I wear on bottoms. And then, wait for it, Outdoor Vitals Dragon Wool Hoodie. A little bit heavy, but I only use it in winter and sometimes a little on the shoulder seasons. But it's really super comfortable, very, very warm. Has this nice zip in the center as well. And long cut, I really like the back being long, so when you bend over or something, you don't have exposed skin. So, been very, very happy with that. And the final shell, I'm not sponsored, I promise. Outdoor Vitals Tesher rain jacket. So I use this as my outer shell, and it actually fits over everything that I have. I'm 6 foot tall, about 180 pounds, and this is an extra large. And it's almost too small. It's a little bit snug to get into, but it's fine once I'm in it. And this one also has pit zips, so you can vent some of the heat. But so far it's been a fantastic rain jacket. And when I get into the rainy weather, I'll let you know how it does. But so far I've only used it as a wind jacket. So, okay, so let's go ahead and see how these tents did. It was supposed to be check out my tents to see how they do in the wintertime when it's cold, and it turned out just to be a wind tunnel test pretty much. So let's talk about those things and I'll let you know how they did. Alright, so the next thing I did was set up my tents. I started with the REI freestanding tent. You can see how windy it is off and on throughout this whole thing, but as far as setting it up, it's kind of nice because you can actually get all four corners staked out first, and that way the wind's not really a problem. So you can just get the poles in and then snap it up. So I kind of like that. The fly is a pain, as you'll see here in a little bit. I let the wind help pull it out in the same direction that I need it to be, and then just clip the front ones and then worked around. But you can see how hard the wind was blowing. I think I was a little surprised at how well the tent held up in the wind. The negative being that fly was just leaning against the tent body most of the time. So then I'm setting up my Plex Solo. So the process is certainly different for a trekking pole tent, but it doesn't take any longer. In fact, overall, I think I could probably set my this tent up quicker just because I've had more practice with it probably. It's pretty simple to set up. It does take 10 stakes, and I think the REI one also takes about 10. Freestanding REI two-person tent. The wind's blowing basically out of the west here, so I am going to try and keep these pointed right into the wind. It's my Plex Solo. It seems like the bottom is floating in air, but as soon as I set something in there, it'll set flat. It looks kind of funny right now. Yeah, we have pretty good wind here. As you can see out there where the storms are brewing. That's Mount Chavano, 14er in Colorado. I'm in Salida, Colorado, my parents' backyard. Nice backyard, eh? Wouldn't mind living here myself. Okay, so I'm going to use these for testing wind stability for one. We get some snow squalls we had a little while ago, but this area is so dry, it dries out very quickly. So, ooh, pretty good squall. I'm gonna get in mine here real quick. I'm gonna get in the Plex Solo. Hanging out in this little sleet squall. Just to see what it's like here. This tent does surprise me how good it does in the wind for sure. All right, well, I think I'm going to try and set up tonight, hang out in this tent. And I've had this set up for about 2 hours now. I guess I had one stake that loosened up a little bit so far. That's the only damage from the wind, but once again, this tent doesn't seem to mind wind that much as long as you set it up the right way. All right, let's get this thing set up. The wind has not died down much. That's for sure. Well, it's not cold inside a sleeping bag. Oh, she told on me. That figures. All right, thank you. Oh, let's see. All right, let's get this guy pumped up. That was my aunt checking up on me, telling me how crazy I am. Which, you know, you can expect that. I am crazy. Not that crazy though. You can always go in the house, right? In a lot tougher situations. All right, well, I got it pretty much set up. I like to put my headlamp right in the front right there. I don't put it in a pocket or anything, but I can always find it. So I kind of like that. But I have my tents are all seasoned. Then I have 3 pads in here. Let's see if it makes any difference in warmth as I remove each one of them. Obviously being flat on the ground is not going to cut it, and I will be on the tensor no matter what. So I don't know, I think it'll be super cold tonight. It'll be 17-ish last time I checked. And then tomorrow we'll give the REI a shot and see what we think of that. Advantages and disadvantages. So yeah, everything will be pretty much the same in how I sleep in them. The temperature might be different day to day, but I'll let you know how it goes. We'll talk to you soon. Good morning. Good morning. I got my nice baritone voice this morning. Got down about 23. Definitely pretty warm all night, so didn't really get cold. And mighty windy again, so that kept me awake a little bit, but overall not too bad. I just got a really pretty sunrise going on out there. Try to go catch that real quick. But yeah, I mean, not too bad. We'll talk to you soon.